In Venezuela, the government denounced political destabilization attempts by mafia operating in Colombia and the United States. In Palestine, authorities reported over 63 dead and 93 injured after new Israeli massacres in the last 24 hours. And the death toll from the Israeli attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus on Monday has risen to 7, including 2 Iranian army officers. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Venezuela's Public Prosecutor's Office denounced plans to carry out a coup to promote acts of violence in the run-up to the July presidential elections. Venezuela's Attorney General Tarek William Saab denounced that former members of the military linked to the so-called Operation Gideon are organizing a destabilizing movement from the United States and Colombian territories. Saab denounced that the Colombian right-wing media and former presidents Álvaro Uribe and Iván Duque collaborated with extremist and the anti-Venezuelan sectors. The prosecutors pointed out that this is the 9th action unveiled and investigated by the government, which had its highest point in the so-called White Armband Plan, intended to end the life of President Nicolás Maduro. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, pointed out that with the new attempt of the ultra-right to destabilize national sovereignty, the number of violent and deadly actions by these sectors of the opposition has risen to 9.
This would be the 9th action that we have publicly not only unveiled, but investigated or prosecuted. If we added to the 4 previous ones of the year 2023, which had one of the worst figures in the murder of La Viñeta, that attempted the frustrated assassination against the President of the Republic and high authorities.
The Attorney General of Venezuela stated that the fugitive from justice, Mario Carratú, confirmed that contacts were being made with groups of ex-military personnel in the United States to organize a coup movement.
This March 30, just a few days ago, a fugitive from Venezuelan justice who has been issued an arrest warrant for the White Bracelet conspiracy, Mario Iván Carratú Molina, said on X, formerly Twitter, that contacts were being made. He denounces it himself, unbelievable. Of course, he is all scared because he knows that we know. Then he makes a false step forward because he already knows that he is going to say. He said on X that contacts were being made with Venezuelan military in the United States. These are his exact words, to organize a freedom movement within quotations, which is nothing more than an euphemism to refer to a putschist criminal and terrorist movement.
Likewise, the official affirmed that the Venezuelan people reject the coup actions carried out by sectors of the opposition.
That the ordinary Venezuelan, a parent, father or mother, a worker, a student, a young or old man, all the Venezuelan family as a whole wants peace. We absolutely reject actions of this magnitude, like the one they are now proposing to Carratú Molina.
Venezuela's Foreign Minister Iván Gil condemned the threats issued by Argentina's President Javier Milei to promote a regional avalanche of sanctions against the South American country. Through his official account on X, the Venezuelan minister said, "The spokesman of the extremist right wing of Venezuela surnames who call for invasions and sanctions are speaking. The neo-Nazis' expectations will sink again. Venezuela is advancing at a good pace and will defeat every attempt of the imperial servants. Instead of moving the tail to your masters like puppets, dedicate yourself to solve the internal affairs of your country, which are already quite entangled. The Venezuelan foreign minister's denunciation precedes an interview with President Milei, where he threatens to promote a regional siege of sanctions against Venezuela.
Por el momento, o sea, tenemos un avance que están siendo.
For the moment, we have an advance that are being condemned. I mean, here the previous government would not have condemned any of these dictatorships, so in principle we make an emphatic condemnation. We raised those flags everywhere, and obviously if we had to move forward on sanctions I would not have any problems.
Would you try to motivate the rest of the countries to impose diplomatic sanctions?
Yes, I would be willing to do it because the carnage that is in Venezuela is truly unprecedented, the same as the prison island of Cuba or so. There are other cases that are on the way to it, like Colombia with Mr. Petro. Let us say that there is not much to be expected from someone who was a terrorist murderer.
In the Ecuadorian city of Guayaquil, authorities reported over 17 violent deaths during the Easter holiday. The Interior Ministry informed that this Sunday night, several individuals opened fire against a group of people who were in the public road in the sector of El Fortín. The crime left 3 people dead and 3 others wounded. While on Saturday night, criminal groups carried out a massacre in Guasmo, south of Guayaquil, leaving 9 people dead and others injured. In this regard, the investigative unit began an operation to find the whereabouts of the perpetrators. In Haiti, on Monday, a deadly alliance of armed groups continued launching a series of coordinated attacks in the capital Port-au-Prince, including near the National Palace. An unidentified policeman said in a voice note circulating on the WhatsApp messaging platform that at least 4 police officers were injured during the violent incidents. The officer declared that 5 of them were in a police armored vehicle when everyone except for him was shot. The 4 are reported being threatened for gunshot wounds. In a video on social media, an armed man wearing a camouflage ski mask could be seen commanding the armored vehicle as he credits gang ISO 5 seconds for the attack. In another video, the armored vehicle is engulfed in flames. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, authorities reported over 63 deaths after new massacres in the last 24 hours by the Israeli occupation forces in Gaza. According to the Palestinian authorities, Israeli bombardments and raids also left 94 people wounded. Gaza's health ministry said that the death toll rose to 32,845, while the number of wounded reported reached 75,392. More than half of them are women and children. For their part, the rescue and civil defense teams continue with the work of recovering bodies and have expressed that they have been hindered in their task by the impediment of the Israeli troops. In Palestine, hundreds of corpses were found in the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza after the final withdrawal of Israeli troops. Medical sources confirmed that the bodies were not only on the hospital premises but in the vicinity of the hospital. Local authorities reported that the occupation forces destroyed the entire hospital complex, burning both the facilities and medical equipment. The Palestinians also denounced that Israeli troops destroyed the temporary cemetery, removed the bodies leaving them exposed, and also destroyed residents and houses near the hospital. And civil defense also said that it is difficult to count the number of martyrs. And in this context, after 2 weeks of siege, the World Health Organization reported that the victims were innocent civilians, many of them patients and medical personnel. Israel carried out this latest siege with the pretext of attacking Hamas militants without providing any evidence of their presence at the hospital before, during, nor after the withdrawal of its troops. In Palestine, President Mahmoud Abbas swore the new government in, with Mohammed Mustafa at the head. During the ceremony, the new prime minister assured that the government priority is to end the war in Gaza. It intends to remedy the little influence the government has in the Gaza Strip. However, Mustafa assures that they will work on the formulation of projects to reunify institutions, including the assumption of responsibility in Gaza. The new executive is formed by Gazans representatives as well as 4 women. In this situation, the relationship of the latter with Washington continues to mark the distance between the government of Gaza and the national administration. Palestinian authorities warned that the Office of the United Nations Middle East Organization for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, faces a financial crisis after Israeli accusations against the United Nations agency. The Department of Refugee Affairs of the Organization for the Liberation of Palestine warned about the crisis of the United Nations Public Works and Relief Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Middle East. The agency warned that the funds available in UNRWA's budget cover the needs of the Palestinians until the end of May. However, after this month, it will enter into a deficit in relation to its regular budget. Officials noted that at least 16 countries suspended their funding to the agency after Israel claimed that 12 of its employees were involved in Hamas operations without being able of proving these accusations. The death toll from the Israeli attack on the Iranian consulate in Damascus on Monday has risen to 7, including 2 Iranian army officers. According to a statement issued by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Corps, IRGC, Brigadier General Mohammad Reza Zahedi and his Deputy General Mohammad Hadi Himi were killed in the attack. Official reports informed that several buildings near the Iranian embassy were severely damaged, while the consulate of the Persian nation was completely destroyed. Iranian government sources say that the target of the Israeli airstrike was the residence of the Iranian ambassador Hussein Akbari, who warned that Tehran's response would be, in his words, decisive. On the other hand, Syrian Foreign Minister Faisal Mehrdad rejected the attack and expressed his support for the Palestinian people at the site of the Israeli strikes that destroyed the Iranian consulate in Damascus.
Our people have grown used to responding to such cowardly attacks, and to prove to humanity that these attacks can only be met with further steadfastness and further support for the Palestinian people and the resistance, whether in Iraq or southern Lebanon.
We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The Russian government held 3 people arrested in the Republic of Dagestan responsible for being involved in the financing of the terrorist attack on the Crocus City Hall concert venue. Russia's Federal Security Service reported the arrest of foreigners who were preparing terrorist acts in the city of Kaspikis. According to the investigation, the suspects conducted a reconnaissance of crowded areas in the city, prepared an explosive device, and acquired automatic weapons in order to carry out a new act of terror. Furthermore, according to the Russian law enforcement agencies, it was established that the detainees were directly involved in the financing of the terrorists who carried out the attack committed on March 22, 2024 at the Cruz City Hall. Azerbaijan accused Armenia of moving troops, armored vehicles and artillery on the border of both countries. The Azerbaijani Ministry of Defense stated that in view of the intensive movement of military troops in different directions of the common border, it will respond effectively to any provocation. Likewise, affirmed that all responsibility for the worsening of the situation will fully fall on Armenia and its supporters. In this regard, the military entity reported an increase in the activities of Armenian troops during the last few days, what it qualifies as provocations aimed at increasing tensions. In Beijing, the governments of China and France agreed to establish strategies for more stable bilateral relationships. The conversations were led by Chinese Prime Minister Wang Yi and his French counterpart Stéphane Séjourné. The Chinese minister expressed his wish for Paris to provide a fair and non-discriminatory business environment for the Asian country. Both representatives pledged to promote mutual communications, coordination, exchanges and cooperation to build a reciprocal relationship of greater stability and strategic vision. In the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo, at his Mass for Catholic Easter, denounced the critical security situation that affects the country. The cleric assured that the country is sick, unarmed, and defenseless in the face of violence, in particular that exhibited by militias in the north and east of the country. In this context of violence, the rebel militias have killed 16 people in the area of Irumu only during the preparations for Holy Week. This situation has caused 500,000 people to be forcibly displaced to the capital of North Kivu. The United Nations peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo raises alarms over the unprecedented expansion of the rebel group Movement 23, known as M23. Bintou Keita, the head of the mission, affirms that the deployment of the irregulars is exponentially aggravating the humanitarian crisis. She explains that since the December elections, the M23 has taken control of large areas of the territory. The Congolese government points out that the irregulars are supported by the Kenyan executive. They are currently in control of several access roads to Kivu, causing the displacement of more than 1 million people. The worsening of the crisis is linked to the war for minerals triggered by the interference of Western governments. The organizing committee of the Olympic and Paralympic Games of Paris 2024 presented the medals that will be awarded to the 5,000 athletes at the summer events. Secret revealed those who claimed the podium at the event, scheduled from July 26 to August 11th for the Olympic and from August 28th to September 8th for the Paralympics, can take home, in addition to the gold, silver and bronze won in fair, a souvenir of the engineering work symbol of Paris, the iron used to lift the cast on the medal. The 18 grams of metal will be part of each preseo, which will have a total weight of 529 grams for gold to 455 bronze, with a diameter of 85 millimeters and a thickness of about 9, with the hexagon in the center, geometric figure representing France. The design of the medal was the responsibility of the house Chaumet, specialized in jewelry and watchmaking, while the manufacture was the work of Coins of Paris, according to Tony Stanget, president of the Paris 2024 organizing committee. The inclusion of a fragment of the Eiffel Tower in the alloy is intended to motivate competitors. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.